Welcome to Bucks County Free Library's Tech Talk series. My name is Adam, and I'm joined by the BCFL IT team, Pete, Zach, and Matt, who are helping us run the event. This is an ongoing series of talks about technology, and the topics are chosen by you, our patrons. Our Tech Talk series is a live monthly meeting on the third Wednesday of each month, both in person and over Zoom. You can check out our events calendar at calendar.buckslib.org for full details of when and where we're hosting the Tech Talks. These sessions are recorded, and after each talk, we upload the videos to the BCFL YouTube channel. You can find a link on our website at buckslib.org. If you click on events and then click on recorded tech talks, just keep in mind it can take up to a week for us to process the videos and get them available for viewing. If you have any questions for the second half of today's talk, we'll go through some basics in the beginning, and in the second half, we're going to answer your questions. You can add those questions for the people here in the room. We're going to circulate and ask you questions. Or if you are online, you can enter them directly into the Zoom chat feature. Or as in the past, you can email techtalks@buckslib.org. Please keep all Zoom chat relevant to the topic at hand today so that staff can find your questions more easily. And also a reminder to treat others with respect or you can be removed from today's meeting. As we said earlier, these subjects or the topics for the talks are chosen by the patrons. We send out a survey quarterly over email with a few suggested topics, and then I'll let you add your suggestions. We will create talks out of the top choices around the pieces of technology that are suggested. And then registration through Zoom lets you ask a specific question about the topics at hand. All right, so today's tech topic is traveling in a digital age. Like I said, we're going to spend some time talking about some basics of traveling in a digital age. We're going to answer some questions we got beforehand, and then we're going to take a break and answer your questions when we come back after that break. So here we go, everybody. Oops. Let's start by talking about the basics. If you have not been near the internet at all in the last couple of decades, we're starting with the very basics here, but I wanted to begin by talking about how to book and plan your travel first. You probably know that there are, and this comes from watching TV. You get commercials for a lot of these services. There are travel aggregation sites that let you search for flight prices, things like kayak.com and expedia.com. There are other services like Google Flights or Google Travel, which, while you can't book directly through their service, do a great job of searching through all the different airlines for available prices. I'm going to the Public Library Association conference in Minneapolis in a few weeks, and I used Google Flights to book the flight for that. I'm going to share real fast and show you on screen what that can look like. If I search for Minneapolis, it will make a suggestion here and fly me into Minneapolis, St. Paul. I can tell it to set a departure and return date, or I can just have it give me a suggestion here based on AI in the details. Let's say I wanted to fly out this weekend, the 14th, and fly back on Tuesday, the 17th. I can set that window, search, and it's going to give me all the top flights. The thing that I find most useful about these flight search sites is that you can set a notification that will let you know when you should be booking. So if you can see on my screen here, it says prices are currently high. You can set a notification to email you when prices come back down into a normal range. or when they reach a specified price point. I think you got to be logged in to do that. And I'm not logged in right now. So we'll get back to that in a second. All right. The same thing exists for hotel bookings. A lot of the time, you can do this kind of booking in one site. So Expedia, whatever, will link you out to hotels directly from their website and let you book flights and hotels at the same time. So just keep an eye on those two possibilities for travel tools. One of the things that's recommended nowadays, and especially if you are someone who, foresees any kind of disruption to your travel for any reason, is to book travel insurance ahead of time. You can just Google search for travel insurance and book that either through your normal insurance provider or get deals through these aggregation sites also. And that's for, specific conditions where you've had a medical incident and can't make your flight, or you've had a medical incident while you're abroad and can get insurance to cover the cost of an emergency return flight, that sort of thing. Look into the deals and speak to your insurance agent ahead of time when you go in for that kind of coverage. One last thing to think about in the booking basics is there are some special permissions that you have to go through if you're flying internationally. You'll want to check out before you travel the State Department's website. I'm going to kick us back over to the laptop view real quick and show you travel.state.gov. For some international travel, you'll have to have a visa. And starting at the end of 2026, if you're traveling into the European Union, there is a special program called ETIAS, ETIAS, that you will have to look into. It's a pre-approval process for being able to travel into the European Union without the need for a visa, but you do still need to go through that pre-approval process. That is, whoops, the European Travel Information and Authorization System, ETIAS. A quick Google search for those 5 letters there will bring up the website for it. And like I said, it's not implemented until the end of 2026, but you may want to look ahead, into it ahead of time just to understand the process for it. The State Department website is a great resource if you're doing international travel. You can sign up and let's see, international travel information. Learn about your destination. So let's say we want to travel to Argentina. I can click there and they will give us alerts about what's going on in the country ahead of travel there. You can sign up for the travel or the State Department's STEP program, which gets you signed up for email and text alerts as you travel from the U.S. Embassy that's in that country. And also, here we see the entry and exit visa requirements for traveling to Argentina or wherever you're traveling from the State Department. All right. So those are the very basics of booking your travel, what you need to do ahead of time. Let's talk a little bit about some things you can do before you leave that will help you keep in touch with people, maybe be a little safer, more secure as you travel. Anybody with a cell phone these days is able to share your phone's location with people that you choose. I am an Apple. I use the iPhone. I have a Mac at home. I have an iPad. So within the Apple ecosystem, you can share your location with people that you choose, either for a time frame up to a day or indefinitely, so that they can see where you are by looking at maps, by checking your text thread with them. They can click on the maps and see where you are. This sort of lets them know what to expect when you're traveling. If you give them an itinerary ahead of time and, suddenly you haven't checked in for 3 days, they can check your location and make sure that, well, they say where they're going to be. Maybe they're just having trouble getting in touch with us. I'm just going to demonstrate that real quickly in our laptop real quick. And hopefully it's going to detect this for me. There we go. All right. So if I go into settings in my phone and click, I can share my location inside the iPhone settings. You have to turn on share my location in this settings screen, and then we're going to close that. And inside, you can share your location specifically with people, especially if you have a family account set up inside here. And I believe it's going to take forever to load, so forgive me, everybody. I'm not going to be able to show you that directly right now, but if you look inside your phone settings and go from there, you can do that. This is also available in Android phones as well, specifically Samsung and I think we said Pixel also, right? You can go into your Google account and share that with your with people that you want to send your location. You can explore that inside your Google account by logging into Google and clicking on the settings in the top right corner. Another thing that is smart to do is to back up all of your important documents on your phone locally. That can be as simple as taking a photo of those documents or downloading PDFs of your itinerary to your phone's files. Or you can, go to a service and have them scanned high res and store them on your phone as well. This is so you have access to the documents should you happen to lose them in case you need to go to the embassy and prove that you're a US citizen, something like that. Having all that information in one place is really helpful just in the, on the off chance that those documents go missing. You can also, before you leave, if you're going to a place where English is not the first language, where you think you're going to be trying to translate between people, you can, in your phone, download apps that help you translate between people. I'm going to demonstrate that later, but making sure you download these onto your phone so that you have access to them without a cell phone connection, without an internet connection can be a lifesaver in some situations. And the same is true for your maps. We're used to just clicking the Maps app on our phone and pulling it up because we've got a cell phone connection wherever we go. But if you're going to be traveling in a place where there is no internet connection over the cell phone network, you can go into your Maps app. And again, I'm going to demonstrate this later. You can go into your Maps app, download those maps for offline viewing so that it's stored on your phone without needing an internet connection. And then our last little tip before you leave is that you should set up tap to pay on your phone or your devices, especially if you're traveling in Europe. But this is a pretty common thing across the world at this point, where the default to pay for things is no longer with a credit card, it's no longer with cash. You're usually just tapping with your phone to pay. You have it set up so that it links to your credit card or your bank account. And that's sort of the expectation when you go to pay as you travel around the world these days. If you need help getting that sort of thing set up, we do have staff on hand here at the library that can help walk you through the process. A family member can also hopefully help you do that, but feel free to make use of the library. All right. Another thing to think about before you leave is the kind of hardware you're going to want to take with you as you travel. Um, you are not always going to have a connection or be able to plug in to charge your phone. And a lot of times you may not want to risk plugging in to charge your phone in a place because that actually, while, rare, may lead to some kind of attack on your phone as you plug it in with a very smart person. So, carrying a USB power bank, a backup battery is recommended. And if you're traveling abroad, especially to Europe, but in places, there are different electrical requirements for the sockets, as you plug in. So you want to make sure you know what kind of plug you're going to need as you travel. That sort of information is usually available just with a quick Google search. Um, and that is that for that screen. All right. We do have some more hardware that we're going to recommend. If you've ever experienced the woe of lost luggage as you fly somewhere, there are some pieces of hardware that you can use that will help you maybe locate it a little more easily. If you've ever used an AirTag, I have a typo there, not an AirTag, but an AirTag that Apple sells. There are lots of alternatives that are not Apple branded on the market. These are little Bluetooth tags about that size that you can store in your luggage, that you can put inside your wallet, that will track that item's location, just like sharing your phone's location is across devices. So, for instance, I have an AirTag on my keys because I lose my keys all the time in my house, wherever I go. And it lets me track to within, a couple of feet where my keys are within my house, or if I've left them at the park when I'm playing soccer with my kids or whatever. And if, I can't figure out where they are, they're buried in the couch cushions or whatever, and I can actually send a message to get the sound played through the AirTag. This did save my sister's bacon once because she was flying out to visit me last year and had a piece of luggage that exactly matched another traveler's luggage. And the other traveler took her luggage with her as they were leaving, and she could watch as her luggage traveled down Route 476. And luckily, the airline got in touch with that person quickly, and they got it all exchanged. But it is a real convenience when you're traveling to have one of those things installed in your luggage. If you are doing any kind of international travel, will need to contact your cell phone provider to talk about international rates for your cell phone use. You have a couple of alternatives here. We are going to answer a patron question about this specifically later. Your provider will be able to just add on a period of international travel rates to your plan if you want to go that route. But you also have the option of downloading what's called an eSIM for your phone, which is just a data plan, a cell phone plan for your phone that you can use while you're traveling abroad. I'm going to demonstrate that once we get to that patron question. Um, it is a trade-off for these two things. The convenience of just calling your cell phone provider and saying, I'll be traveling between these dates. Can you add international travel to my plan during that time? Versus the discounted rates you get for the hassle of setting up an eSIM on your phone. I say hassle, it's a pretty painless process these days, but you can at least get the joy of talking to a live person when you want to set up travel or when you want to set it up on your cell phone plan. And then one last piece of hardware that's sort of high tech and that you may want to play around with is that there are earbuds. The most well known these days are the most recent line of Apple AirPods, but there are lots of different options out there, including Samsung, Google, and some specific earbuds are tailor made for the purpose of live translating conversation between you and a person speaking a different language in your ears. Um, It seems science fiction-y, and it sort of is, but it's pretty cool at the same time. I will demonstrate how that works later in the Google Translate app when we get around to it on the laptop. But just know that that's a piece of hardware that's available to you. All right. And finally, not hardware, but software for your phone or for your devices. Um, America is about the only place in the world where texting is the messaging service that we use to communicate with each other. WhatsApp is the service that is pretty universally used across the rest of the world because it's free, doesn't cost anything, and most everybody uses it. Excuse me. Um, you can download the app on your phone and use it that way. It is available in on your computer through a browser, but getting it downloaded and set up ahead of time in case you think you're going to be communicating with any people, from the countries that you're visiting is a great idea. Another thing you might want to think about ahead of time is setting up the use of a VPN on your devices. This is a service you may have seen or heard advertised somewhere before. A VPN is a virtual private network, and it is a service that basically encrypts all of your data that's going out of your devices before it gets sent anywhere else. It communicates with another server somewhere so that that data is encrypted. This can help stop some kinds of attacks that will happen on your devices. And it's outside the scope of this tech talk, but we do have some other tech talks where we've discussed this previously, and people are available in the library to help talk to you about these services. Just know that a VPN is a service like any other, and if it's a free service, it's usually because they're selling your information onto advertisers. So VPN services that you have to pay for are often more trustworthy. You're trading off free for less privacy in the case of the free ones. Pay for it, you can usually trust them a little more. That's not true in all cases, but often is. I mentioned translation apps previously. Um, there are lots of them. Google Translate is free to download on all smart devices, but there are paid services that you can use that are tailor-made for this kind of travel experience. iTranslate is one that offers a paid experience, has a huge number of language packs that they've devoted years and years to developing. But it is a paid service. So you would have to take a look and decide if the trade-off in using that service is worth it versus using Google Translate, which is pretty robust, but maybe doesn't have, years of dedication behind it. And then another thing to get set up before you head out anywhere is, if you've never used it before, a rideshare app like Uber or Lyft. They are common in almost all metro areas, and places that don't have Lyft or Uber often have Uber or Lyft alternatives. And so if you're doing any kind of traveling, you can probably do a little bit of research and figure out which rideshare apps are available ahead of time before you get there. You can also use an app. Um, there's a really great one called Transit that you can download for iPhone and Android that will tell you up-to-date bus schedules and metro schedules for especially urban areas that you may be visiting, that you can take advantage of when you're traveling. All right, so in the next couple of minutes, we're going to answer the questions that we received ahead of today's Tech Talk, and then we're going to take a break and entertain our questions as they come in. So question number one is, what are the options for internet access while traveling? And so answer number one is pretty much the same here, depending on where you go. You're going to find Wi-Fi pretty much everywhere that you are traveling these days. Um, the Wi-Fi will have varying levels of robustness and varying levels of um, security as you connect to it. So, for instance, if you're connecting to hotel Wi-Fi somewhere, just know that 99 times out of 100, that hotel is using your data as you connect to those to their services, their Wi-Fi services, to sell on to advertisers. It's yeah, I see some grimaces in the audience here, and yes, that is absolutely a right response. Um, if you are anywhere connecting to a network that you don't control, you should, the best recommendation is to use a VPN, a service that you are paying to encrypt your data as it leaves your device before it goes to whatever, you're trying to connect to. A VPN will stop people from snooping on, where you're trying to navigate to, what kind of information you're trying to send on. And then just a reminder that your cell phone connection, if your plan is set up for it, is probably your safest bet. It's not entirely safe. There are ways for people to, get in between you and whatever you're trying to connect to on your cell phone, but the security risks are lower on your cell phone than they are when you're connecting to Wi-Fi. All right. Question number two. Question number two is not popping up on my screen. So, question number two was, is it safe to use your car's hotspot as you travel? Did you guys know that cars have hotspots now? I've apparently gotten old enough that new technology is escaping me. Newer cars will allow you to connect to the cell phone network as you travel and will let you hotspot to your devices, like your iPads and your cell phones as you go. Um, so yes, it is safe to do so, but just like any cell phone line, you have to pay for the plan. Your plan is connecting the device inside your card that connects to the cell phone network for internet access. And just like any cell phone line, you have to compare the cost of using that hotspot in your car versus the cost of using your phone as a hotspot or, going without or that sort of thing. So, um, think of it that way. It is safe, but you're doing some trade-offs there. All right. Question number three is also not popping up on my screen, but question number three is, how safe is it to connect to hotel Wi-Fi when you are on your travels? How? Sorry, I'm going to pull it up here on my other screen here. Are passwords that are saved in my browser protected? Can I safely enter or access financial information like credit cards or access a bank account? And is in-room access safer than connecting in like the hotel lobbies or something similar to that? And the answer is, as you can see on screen, not terribly safe in most of these cases, in all of these cases. Um, because you don't control that Wi-Fi network, you have no idea what's going on behind the scenes. Who's using the data that you are sending out into the world to sell on to advertisers? Who else is connected to that network and might be snooping on your internet traffic? There are specific kinds of attacks called credential sniffing, where they can get access to your email account or some of your other social media accounts or that sort of thing by being connected to the same Wi-Fi network. I would never in my life connect to my bank account or my credit card information if I'm on a public Wi-Fi network, just because I have no idea what's going on behind the scenes on that Wi-Fi network. And no, in-room access is not safer than lobby access. It is basically the same Wi-Fi network across the building. You can, as we discussed earlier, use a VPN to encrypt your traffic as you're on the Wi-Fi network. But again, there is still the possibility that someone who is connected to the same network is going to be able to snoop your information even before it sort of leaves the network. And so I would recommend just not using the hotel Wi-Fi to do any kind of, sensitive um, internet transactions, banking, credit card, anything like that. I do use it for Netflix. Whatever, it's Netflix. But you can go from there. All right. Question number 4 is we're traveling to Ireland this May. Would you please comment on the options for cell service while there? We're going to broaden that to just traveling internationally. Verizon is their current carrier, and it offers an option, but they've also seen promotional items for third-party eSIMs. So we talked about this previously, and I said we'd demonstrate it, which is where we are right now. I'm going to show you what it looks like to play around with eSIMs as you're traveling. All right. And that looks like this. We're going to reconnect to my phone, ideally. And get this pulled up slowly but surely. It's unlocked. Yeah. All right, there we go. Okay. And I'm going to demonstrate it here. All right. Yeah. Oh, can you guys, when you guys turn the lights down so they can see here in the room? Um, there are several different services that offer this eSIM as an option for your phone. And the first step is just Googling eSIMs for travel. We're not going to make a recommendation for a specific one, but we have set up, Matt was very kind enough to set up ahead of time, the Saily app, which you can see on screen here, for us to look at ahead of time. So Saily, if I download the app onto my phone, will let me search by country for plans, cell phone plans, and purchase them directly from inside the app. So going with, we want to go to Argentina. We're going to click on Argentina here and get a whole list of plans that we can get set up for our travels. And so you can see we get varying amounts of data in gigabyte chunks as we travel. Your phone, communicates with the cell phone network and you amass so much data over the course of using your cell phone. And they give you several different options that you can choose from. And we'll say we're going to do a 30-day, 10 gigabyte as the best choice. We're going to click continue, and it's going to tell us what we are paying for there. Now, the one thing that you'll see is that this is for data only. You will, I believe, need to, you can do a subscription plan, but you can also load up on credits, but and we're going to look at Turkey too. Does data include calling, guys? Do you know off the top of your head? It's just the data. Okay, yeah. So you'll get a data plan for your eSIM when you go through this. For calling, I guess you have to talk to your carrier to get that set up ahead of time. No, it's just through the data. Okay, all right. So the data, the eSIMs, you can tell I'm not an international traveler. I'm still learning some of this stuff, but your plan here when you sign up for an eSIM will get you access to the cell phone network in that country. Uh, you can see that for 7 days of 1 GB data as you travel through Turkey, it's $4 compared to talking to, say, your Verizon um, deal, your Verizon plan. It will often, they can charge up to like $75 for international travel. It's a real discount to get this kind of eSIM set up on your phone ahead of time. Like I said, it does take a little bit of work to download the app and sort of figure out what the best plan is and how it works for you, but that is how those apps work. Sally is not the only option. You can do any kind of, or you can do, some basic research on the internet to figure out what would work best for you. And certainly, if you listen to podcasts, you've heard these things advertised near and far these days. Okay, everybody, it is 2:36. We are going to take a 4-minute break, come back at 2:40, add your questions in the Zoom chat, or send them in to techtalks@buckslib.org, and we will be back shortly. We're back, everybody. We only have one question, so if while I'm answering this question, you have any others, throw them in Zoom chat. But I'll also cover some other things that we talked about earlier. All right, so one of our audience members here asked, if you don't have a VPN, what are the best steps to take for protecting your online activity on your cell phone? Um, your cell phone, as it connects to the cell phone network, is usually safe because you are connecting directly to the network. You're not, connecting to somebody else's Wi-Fi network in between. If you're using Wi-Fi, one of the things is it okay, all right. If you're using Wi-Fi, one of the things you want to look for as you're navigating is um, on your cell phone, if you're inside the web browser, you want to make sure that the websites you're visiting have the little security lock in the bottom corner. Um, we'll try to pull one up here so I can show you in just a second. Um, it would help if I could get a website pulled up here, but um, you want to look for those little security locks. You want to, to the best of your ability, connect only to networks that you know are safe and secure. So like at a friend's house, at somebody that you're staying with. Um, you know what? I'm not going to be able to get this pulled up here. All right. Anyway, we'll come back to that. And if you have the option, I would say use the data connection on your phone before you connect to Wi-Fi. If you are able to pay for the data plan ahead of time before you travel. And if it's in your budget, I would say sign up for a VPN service. People can walk you through the process of doing it. They often have good customer support to help you out through that process. All right. We did have one more question here for is there an app for easy currency conversion? Yes, several of them. There are also free websites that you can go and visit, not least of which I think is just straight up Google. Um, yes, so Google will let you, if you just search for currency conversion, oh, that's in Bing, but Google does the same thing. Let you choose the currency you're converting to from a huge list of currencies. I don't know, we're going to go to Croatia. Our $1 is currently equal to 7.04 Croatian kuna. That is probably a terrible butchering of the pronunciation of their currency, but yeah, feel free to just Google search for this. They use, you can see they list when it was last updated. Although it does say here that this was last updated February 8th, and so it is probably for the smaller currencies. Yeah, for the smaller currencies, it won't be quite as up to date as, say, for euros or yen or, that sort of thing. Um, this is probably something that in the current political happenings you want to pay close attention to because these sorts of conversions are going to swing here and there as you travel. All right, there were two things that I wanted to go back and address. If you are purchasing an eSIM before you travel, as I showed in the Saley app there, you have up to 30 days before you need to turn on that plan. So you can, do yourself a favor and 2 weeks before you travel, for peace of mind, go and purchase the plan. And then when you land on the plane, turn the plan on and have access at that point for 30 days of traveling. It's for convenience sake, and they're not trying to lock you into your plan, to your uh, data plan from the point of purchase. They really want to be able to help you get to the point where you can use your phone while you travel. And the other thing is that when you are sharing your location from Google devices, instead of being set up inside the system settings like it is on an iPhone, in a Samsung or in a Google device, you share it directly from the Maps app or from Maps Online, maps.google.com. You can share your location with people from that spot, and they will be able to see you as you travel around the various museums of the lovely European city that you're visiting or wherever you're traveling. All right. Those are all of our questions for today, everybody. So I want to say thank you to our attendees in person and online.